some theories that family and media had, and then we can, discuss what we think happened. So Kim Fay, Corey's mother, said that she and her family believe that he died of hypothermia after becoming disorientated and, started walking uphill in the snow area.
Disoriented,
yeah. Oops. I was doing so good. All these simple words.
I was reading and I heard him like, did I hear him say disorientated?
Yeah, oops. This theory I can kind of buy, I guess. The only part of it that I don't get is, all right, assume he got lost before he started wandering, several miles in waist-deep snow. If he's to the point where he's got hypothermia and he's to the point where he's getting delirious because of it, I would say his condition is pretty critical at that point. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so is it logical then someone who's kind of critically hypothermic to be able to walk 5 or 10 miles up elevation in waist-deep snow?
10 miles? See, here's the deal. I think they could go far. That seems a little too far. More like, I think people can do a lot of amazing things. Like
when they're under stress.
Under stress, or they get their mind to do it. I mean, that's like, you see that a lot. And like, if somebody has good control of their mind or their body's in autopilot mode, they can do amazing things. I feel like even if he's just going in hypothermic autopilot mode, I don't know how the body could physically take that stress.
Yeah.
Like, regardless.
Yeah.
Maybe it can. I just feel like no, odds are it would not.
Yeah.
And if they saw these prints while they were searching,
yeah,
how did they not find them? They started searching immediately. So even if you're in snow, like you said, if there's fresh powder everywhere, that should help them track.
Yeah.
They should be very easy to see clothing against a snow surface. You should be able to see the tracks and use that. And from what it sounds like, they found it and they thought it was an animal, or it turned out to be animal tracks. Okay, so it should be very easy to see if there are other tracks you could search.
Yeah, and to be able to walk through waist-deep snow, you're not just going to leave tiny little footprints. You're going to be creating a body-sized path.
You're going to be plowing the snow with your body.
Basically, yeah. So, I mean,
it would be very obvious.
Especially from a helicopter.
Oh, 100%.
So, I don't know. I'm not buying that. I guess, hypothermia seems like a logical theory in those conditions. Lots of snow, it's cold out.
He had a solar blanket.
Yeah.
So he had the right gear and he had a blanket. And when you put those on, those work.
Yeah.
They work really good.
And why go up? You would go down.
Yes. Yeah, that's like, I would only see, like, if he's getting really, really cold and starting to shiver, he's got a solar blanket.
He has a compass. If he's trained in outdoor survival, he definitely knows how to use a compass.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I don't know is if he had any kind of headlamp or flashlight. So, I mean, they were going to meet back at 6:30. It would have already been dark by then. It probably would have, if he didn't have any kind of flashlight or headlamp, it would have been really hard to navigate. But you would still know if you're going uphill or downhill.
Sure. Yeah.
So, couple other theories. These are media opinions. One theory was that he may have been accidentally killed by another hunter and buried. But this theory kind of gets blown out of the water right away. The searchers had cadaver dogs and never found a grave site. That's not saying that probably couldn't happen. I mean, maybe if he got killed.
Well, and you feel like their friends would have heard gunshots or something
in
the area. Unless he's like a bow hunter.
As tragic as a hunting accident like that would be, if it was unintentional, why would you turn yourself into a criminal by hiding the body?
Yeah.
When a real sad situation when a hunter gets accidentally shot by another hunter, but it's not a criminal event.
Yeah.
It's
happened in our state.
It happens in Wisconsin every hunting season.
Yep.
So why would you then, if you accidentally shot him, would you then bury his body, which now becomes a federal crime? That doesn't make sense.
Playing devil's advocate, I've never accidentally shot somebody. I'm just saying, like, if you're not in the proper headspace, maybe you do something crazy.
Yeah.
I could imagine I would kind of lose it a little bit if I accidentally killed somebody. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and maybe you're already kind of...
Yeah, so I'm playing devil's advocate on that.
But
no, I agree with you. I feel like in most cases, if that would happen...
Yeah.
If you accidentally shot somebody, you'd try and get a hold of authorities, come out, whatever.
And wouldn't his friends have said, we heard gunshots? or we heard a gunshot.
Yeah, especially in the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, that would echo around, and, unless his friends were in on it, which that's just a crazy theory.
Yeah.
I just felt like saying that.
Yep.
Another theory was that Corey may have survived for quite a long time. And one searcher thought they may have found a campsite with an old fire, but it never was confirmed. And this theory doesn't make sense to me either, because they had so many searchers in the area. They had helicopters in the air. From everything I read, the conditions for the search were pretty decent. So, they had guys on horseback. They had dog. They had the best dog team in the world there, and they had all these they would have found him.
Yeah.
Or he would have, if he would have heard someone talking, he'd pop a round off in the sky with his rifle. I mean,
yeah,
that
and
doesn't
that's where, if anything, I would lose a little faith in the people of the party, but having the hunting dogs there or the search dogs, I think is really what confuses me the most, because it's very fresh.
Yeah.
No, we've learned about this, or there wasn't a rainfall. Yes, there's snow, but there's nothing that had washed away the environment or changed the environment drastically from when he went missing to when they began the search.
Yeah. Another theory was suicide. So a school friend, Steve Lopez, said Corey had a bad week in school. After he attended a party, some of the older cool kids didn't like him, and they were mad at him. He was a little down as a result, and he discussed he was feeling down before the hunting trip. Maybe he just wanted to go missing or commit suicide, as Steve said. But we searched from there. We searched for days. We had hundreds of people searching. We had helicopters with night vision. There was no way that if Corey was alive, that he was not going to be found. We would have found him. So I'm not. I mean, there wasn't a lot of information on this. He's a high school kid. Everyone in high school got picked on at one time or the other.
Yeah. I was cool the whole time. No, I'm just kidding. No, everyone has their bad weeks and bad days.
Yeah.
He was going hunting with friends.
Yeah.
So maybe he felt like crap, but it's not like he was a loner and everything was terrible. He's going on a hunting trip.
Yeah. And, his family didn't make any mention of this, and that's not always, matter. A lot of times people keep this stuff bottled up.
Sure.
But I didn't see any evidence in the research I did that would point to suicide. So I don't know. That one's not really, sitting well with me. We already talked about hypothermia, and the final kind of media opinion was a mountain lion attack. But, it goes on. They went on to say it doesn't seem plausible that something attacked, killed, and dragged a 17-year-old with his rifle, backpack, and other gear any distance that would equate to him being 10 miles and 3,000 feet of elevation from where he was. Like we've said in lots of episodes, an animal attack would leave shreds of clothing, tissue, blood, which was not discovered. And he had a rifle with him.
Especially against the snow. Even if he was that would be very evident.
And he had a method of defending himself.
Yeah.
So I don't know. An animal attack doesn't seem likely. I mean, he could have been attacked by an elk. They're huge and can be deadly.
That's so rare.
Yeah, they're not like moose that.
They're skittish. They're gonna run away. When
I was in Alaska, the people there said they're more afraid of moose than grizzlies because they're
moose
all over Anchorage,
and moose are crazy. Yeah. Grizzlies attack when they feel threatened
or are super hungry.
Yeah, a moose will attack because moose are jerks.
A friend of ours,
especially in the rut, if they're in that season, they're very dangerous. A male moose is extremely dangerous then.
Yeah, and I guess they have really bad eyesight. A friend of ours that went to college with us that lives up in Alaska, him and his buddies were on they do a rafting trip every year, and they were out in the middle of nowhere, and this male bull moose was walking by, and one of the guys, had a couple drinks in him, took 2 oars and put him on his head like antlers. And the moose thought he was another moose, and it was during rutting season, so it started to walk towards him,
an idiot,
grunting and snorting. So this is just one story, but I've heard from people they have terrible eyesight and are pretty dumb.
Yeah, when we go up in Boundary Waters, I've heard a couple stories they'll get up on a train track, an oncoming train, and line up and charge it. They get obliterated, obviously, but they're just, it's kind of
Didn't you have one swim after you while you were kayaking?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was with Jack Berg, the Bergs. So Jack and Sam had their father-son trip, and then they invited me, which is hilarious because I'm not related to them. But we were in a boat and we were coming around a bend to do a portage, and they graze underwater. They eat seaweed and stuff. So like it must have been underwater. We didn't see it. So we get off the boat. I jump on land and Jack paddled maybe 10 feet offshore. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
But this thing comes up out of the water across like probably 50 to 75 yards across this lake, but it's like this circle area.
Yeah.
And it just started charging on the land around the thing. It was like taking trees out. And I ran and I jumped from the beach into the boat. And I don't know how far. It may have been only like 5 or 6 feet, but I had a backpack on and I cleared it. Like pure adrenaline, landed the boat and I was rowing.
It's probably like a foot.
Oh, it's... No, I remember because Jack even said like it was far away and somehow I made it in the boat like faster than he's ever seen anyone make it in the boat. And we were just rowing. And Sam and his dad were watching from far away, and it was just like wide eyes, like, oh my God. Like it was just ripping trees out of the ground with its antlers. It was the scariest thing. We've come across grizzlies and black bears. Like that was the most scared I've ever been in the wilderness. 100%.
And it swam after you.
Yeah. They're relentless. Like
they're like the Terminator of the animal world.
Yeah.
So those are kind of all the theories that the family media had. Joe, what do you think happened?
I don't know.
This one's puzzling.
Like, this is one of those ones where there isn't really a clear anything. So like I think it's clear it was an animal. I think the animal attack is too messy. Mm-hmm. And with snow, it's super easy to track.
Yeah.
Like if that happened, that would totally be seen from very far away.
Yeah.
I don't think it was an animal. With the clothes spread out, it was a year later. That's what stinks. Like with the gear spread out, it could have been moved by animals. Mm-hmm. But even then, if you're finding all this stuff, you have a general area of where the body should be.
Yeah.
And they didn't find anything else other than a tooth. What was the other stuff?
Bone fragments.
Yeah, a couple bone fragments and a tooth. And were they positive the bone fragments were human?
I didn't read anything that they identified the bone fragments as his. But the tooth was definitely identified as his.
Yeah, this is where like pictures, like fragment could mean so many things. Mm-hmm. Like if it's a piece of very identifiable fragment of human bone, sure.
Yeah.
But if it's just fragments of bone, like I find fragments of bone all the time when I'm hiking.
Yeah.
Like just dead animals. Like you find little bone, like, oh yeah, that's clearly a bone, but you've no idea what animal it's from.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, the hypothermia thing and maybe like paradoxical undressing, wandering makes sense-ish, mm-hmm. But then again, where's the rest of him? Where's the other stuff that's not found? Yeah, all the thing that's not found.
Yeah.
Yeah, either it's like perfect storm, all the searches, everything, like they're just passing him up or something, or you start going paranormal mode. Like, did he see something and it made him walk up to the mountain? Yeah, freak out, start going uphill for whatever reason.
Him.
Yeah, like what is it? What could it be?
Yeah. No, it's puzzling. If they had not found any of his gear, I would say maybe he left the search area. But we know he was in the search area because they found a bunch of his stuff.
Yeah.
And they found a tooth and maybe bone fragments from him. So was he on the tail of an elk going up the mountain before something happened? Like he was
but then left his gun?
Yeah, they see that doesn't make sense.
Like, yeah, why are you tracking uphill without your stuff? Like, because what it sounds like is they found the backpack and the gun together.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel like, okay, he removed those items and went somewhere else. So, like, he took that stuff off because it was weighing him down to get somewhere else. So, like, did he panic? Was something freaking... Like, this reminds me of the Russian one.
Dyatlov Pass?
Dyatlov Pass. Like, they talk about, like, for whatever reason, these people left the safety of their tents, they left the safety of their gear, everything else, and started going somewhere else for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And they ended up in all these weird, crazy places, and who knows why. So did he experience something that freaked him out enough where he was not thinking logically?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I think the most plausible explanation is some kind of hypothermia-related incident.
I agree with that.
It still doesn't make sense. Like, it's not
I agree with that being like that's
hypothermia.
the most plausible non-supernatural,
non-Bigfoot or aliens,
exactly.
rock people, or
getting absorbed into the mountain or whatever.
So I don't know. This one is a real puzzling one, and it's an older case, and nothing has been found since.
What's your crazy supernatural paranormal thing?
Boy,
no judgment zone. So like, just get creative.
I'm going to have to go with like a Bigfoot or Sasquatch, some ginormous creature.
Scared him and carried him away or something? Or
Yeah, scared him or knocked him out or killed him and then was dragging him around. And
so is it not amongst the Bigfoot people, the upper northwest is like a hot spot? I know, I'm sure there's lots of hot spots.
Yeah, I would have to.
I feel like Oregon and Washington State are like big Bigfoot hotspots.
They're definitely big hotspots for missing persons cases.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's probably just coincidental that they have all these amazing mountains and places to hike. Yeah, I don't know. That, the paranormal route, which we always like to try to find a logical theory, but I mean, I guess the only other possible theory is maybe some kind of foul play. He came across some crazy person out in the woods.
Yeah.
But again, they didn't find any evidence of that during the 10-day search. So, and like we said, they searched the area
He's a fit 17-year-old boy.
Yeah.
He's going to put up a fight.
And he had a gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they found most of his gear in the area where they searched. I believe. I mean, they said they searched 12 square miles, and his stuff was found 10 miles from where he was last seen. So if that's the case, that means the area that was searched is where they eventually found all his stuff, which if there's waist-high snow, doesn't mean anything. It could have been, all that stuff was probably buried under the snow when they did the original search.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, all his stuff was still in the search area that was previously searched with dogs and helicopters and horses and all the stuff. So I don't know. It's almost like he got plucked off the mountain, before the search. And then when it was done, he got dropped back down. That's what it seems like. So,
yeah. According to the Bigfoot Field Research Organization, the state with the most sightings per population is Washington State.
Okay.
California, Oregon are on the list. So yeah, upper northwest.
Well,
is where the most sightings are.
If paranormal is your cup of tea, I think this one might, be a case for you.
I would say either abduction or Bigfoot if we're going paranormal.
I'm
with you. I'm with you on the plausible is hypothermia.
I'm going to stick with plausible, either hypothermia or foul play.
Yeah. I would love to get like a search dog expert on to talk about because there's got to be a failure rate amongst these, even if they're the best in the world, nothing's perfect. So like, is it possible that even with the manpower and the dogs, it's possible that the body gets overlooked?
I'm guessing with that much snow.
Yeah. And what happened was, maybe he had an accident or something. So he put his stuff down, went somewhere else, had an accident.
Yeah.
And then the things that were found scattered were quite literally varmint and animals, going after the body and stuff over a year.
Yeah.
So then they found it scattered out. I mean, that's a very reasonable explanation.
I mean, maybe that's why they didn't find his pants or boots. Maybe something happened where he started getting hypothermia, started taking some things off, like his backpack, his coat, things like that. But
yeah, so like there's like a little, like a rock outcropping where maybe he's underneath that now, and they just didn't find him.
He's still got his pants and his boots with him.
Yeah. And so maybe he wasn't a cadaver yet when the dogs came out, because I'm assuming they go after smells of decomposition. So he wasn't dead yet.
If it was cold and lots of snow, that would probably slow the process down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like maybe he was passed out, not dead. Maybe.
But the search dogs would maybe be able to find it.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's where I'd love to talk to an expert to be like, hey, there's got to be a failure rate. I mean,
know
they can't, like, even though it's a dog, it's not a human being with emotions, but like they're not going to 100% of the time get it perfect.
And from research and comments people have made, I think we sometimes maybe tend to overestimate the ability of search dogs in finding
that's kind of what
that's
kind of what I'm wondering, because you hear the stories of like the cadaver dogs that can do water, and that they do find a body that's literally under the water, and it's just like, holy cow, if they can do that,
why can't they find?
Why can't you find it in
guy
land?
In a cave?
Exactly, like they're basically smelling the bubbling up of a cadaver from water. Yeah, if it's out in the open, you feel like, oh, it's everywhere. So yeah, maybe they're not as good as you'd expect, or like I said, sometimes it's the perfect storm, the way the body is or whatever, that
and maybe
a dog
even the
won't pick up on
conditions, like the direction of the wind. I mean, maybe if he's in a cave and the wind's not blowing downwind to the dogs, they might not find it. Mm-hmm. If the wind's blowing the other direction, blowing the scent up the mountain.
That's why it stinks too, because we have the stories of the dogs who tracked like kidnapped kids.
Yeah, like the
for
bloodhounds.
miles.
Yeah.
Like that were in a car and they're like going down the roads that the car was in.
I know.
You hear that and then they find him like alive in a barn, and it's just like the dog tracked it for like 10 miles and it was driven in a car, and like they found exactly where it was. It's like, okay, so they can do that. So
we
like,
just need to get a search and rescue professional that does specializes in search dogs and get him on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got nothing else. Joe, what about you?
I think that